Okay, so I already made this video of me like doing this hover bike, but the settings on my screen recorder were the frame rate was too high, so the video ended up being really laggy. So I'm just going to do this again instead of because everything's already done. I'm not going to explain as I go. I'm just going to explain what I did. So first of all, I have like the mesh is the hover bike, and uh, the female warrior skeletal mesh is parented to a socket, and the socket is pointing to a main socket of the skeletal mesh. So there's like the root bone and the main bone, and the main bone has a socket attached to it. And in the character mesh, or the hoverbike mesh, I'm using animation asset hoverbike hover idle. And I've also got a spring arm with a camera. The only controls that I have are movement, rotation, and animation. So for movement, I've only have the forward and backwards movement. In order to make that work, I'm using a set actor location. What that does, it interpolates. It's a v-interp2, so vector interpolation. It interpolates between the current location and then the desired location over a period of time and a certain amount of distance. So the distance is calculated by getting the axis value. It could be +1, -1, or 0. So if it's 0, then this whole thing is 0 and the character doesn't move. But just say it happens to be 1, then it's 1 times 100, so 100 units in the forward vector. So that calculates the desired location, and it interpolates it over this period of time. So instead of doing side movement, up here I've only got forward. Instead of side movement, I decided to add rotation, because that's how vehicles actually turn. They don't just like rotate instantly to like whatever key, like whatever direction you want to go. It slowly like rotates into the direction. So for that I used the same move right input that you would use for a character side movement, but instead of using a location, like setting a location, I'm setting rotation. And the rotation is basically for the X and Y, it remains the same, it doesn't change. So whatever the actor's X and Y rotation are, it just keeps that. But the Z rotation, which is the yaw, it gets it by getting the axis value. It could be 1, -1, or 0, and timesing it by 10. So it's rotating in the 10 units. If the forward axis value, if the character is moving, so in this situation, the character is either moving forward or sideways, or I mean, it's moving forward or it's standing still. So in either case, it's going to rotate. If the axis value is positive, which is just say the player is pressing D, then it's going to rotate 10, I guess, like units in the positive rotation, and if it happens to be negative, then it's going to be 10 in the negative direction. If the character is moving backwards, meaning forward axis value, which is up here, is grabbing this axis value, if that happens to be negative, which means if the character, or if the player is moving the character backwards, and the character is pressing one of the side direction buttons at the same time, then it has to be inverted, because if you look at vehicles when they back up and they turn, it moves it doesn't like turn in the same direction. The direction is inverted. So that's why instead of using 10, I used a -10. For the animations, originally I used Animontage, but Animontage doesn't work. because for this I've only got the Hoverbike blueprint. I don't have an animation blueprint or blend space. So montages I found, I think that was the reason why it didn't work. So I'm using just the play animation, and I'm referencing the mesh here. And what it does, because this is firing all the time, I only want to play the animation once. And then because these animations are 1 second long, I want the stew ones to be reset after 1 second. So I did that for all the situations where, if the in this case the character standing still, forward axis value is 0, right axis value is 0. So these axis values are these here. So right axis value, I'm just like storing this value into that variable. Same with this forward one. If it's standing still, in this situation, if forward axis value is greater than 0 or smaller than 0, meaning if it's moving forwards or backwards but not moving in any side direction, then there's an animation that I have for that. So that hovering animation is different from the idle hover. The situation, forward axis value is 0, so it's not moving in the forward or backwards. Oh wait, if forward axis value is 0 or moving forwards, but the right axis value is greater than 0, meaning if the D is pressed, then there's a turn right animation. This one here is the opposite, where if it's either standing still or moving forward, but the left button is pressed, where the right axis value is smaller than 0, then there's the left turning animation. And these two are for when the forward axis value is smaller than 0, where the Hoverbike is moving backwards, but the player is pressing a left or right at the same time, then have respective animations for those for the backwards animations. So that's basically the setup. I only have like 3 parts of it, and this one, the animations, it's being triggered by a custom event that I created by pressing the right mouse button and typing custom event, add custom event. You select that one, give it a name. I named it animation tick. Then I hooked it up to the event tick, which fires all the time. So as this is firing all the time, this fires all the time. So that's pretty much the setup. So if I press play now, if I press W, it goes forward. If I press S, it goes backwards. If I stay still and I rotate, then it just rotates either right or left. And as you can see, it plays the animation. Like the tilt that you see there, that's an animation. And let's just say I go forwards and let's just say I press right, then it goes forward and right. It moves forward and right. And if I press left, same thing. But if I go backwards and I hit a side direction, so backwards, and let's just say I press D, then it plays the backwards animation. So the Hoverbike turn is inverted. That's pretty much the setup that I wanted to do for this video. There's stuff that I want to add. The most important thing is the mount and dismount, because the Hoverbike and the player character are 2 separate actors. The female warrior that you see here, that's just a skeletal mesh. That's not the actual female warrior blueprint actor. I also want to implement maybe an accelerator. So let's just say if I press the right mouse button, then maybe the Hoverbike can move faster. And you also need a way to deal with this undulating terrain. If it was flat, it wouldn't be a problem, but the terrain's not flat. Let's just say if I go here to this hill, just because there's a hill there, it would be nice if I rotated the hoverbike up. But if I, let's just say, turn the other way, then the hill is, the slope is going down, so it would be nice if the hoverbike was pointing down, but I'm going to try and do that with maybe a line trace where it looks for the normal of the terrain directly beneath the hovercraft, and try to rotate the hovercraft based on the normal's direction.